Thanks for coming all the way. I really appreciate it. Please welcome Andy.
So yeah, I'm here to talk about the community in Mexico, which was a bit of a task because it's a bit spread out. First I'll talk a bit about myself. Well, yeah, I'm Andrea Gonzalez. I've been programming in Django for a very short amount of time. I actually have to thank Django Girls and Ola for putting out the tutorial because that's the first thing I did in Django. Then I did the Django docs tutorial, and because I started organizing Django Girls, I got my job, and I'm here now. And it's been wonderful. It's been it's not even a year for me since I started looking into it. So yeah, thank you, and thank you the community. The community is awesome. It's something that made me fall in love with it right away. So yeah, I'm gonna give a brief geography lesson first. Okay, so the red mark right there is where we are, and the stars are a bit of the cities I heard about from other programmers in Mexico, where there is some sort of Python community or Python is used in some way, and some there is Django, but it's a bit, yeah, so that's a close-up of Mexico. And we're gonna look at the Yucatan Peninsula first. There's 3 cities where I got mentions that there are programmers, which is Cancun, Mérida, and Campeche. I didn't get the chance to speak to someone in Cancun, but in Mérida, there is actually a very active Python community, which is Python Mid, which I think is short for Mérida. I'm not sure. Pythonizame is a blog that has articles on Python, and I think the guy that writes it also, he programs in Django. One of the companies there is his company, which is a startup, which is trying to market their own products, and it's all using Django. Pure Python on the back end, so I understood. What they look for when hiring people is, because there aren't many Python developers there, is people that are self-taught, and then they teach them how to program, right? I think it's fair that kind of profile to look in and people to work in Mexico. It's very common in this area of programming. So there's a small city close to Mérida, which is Campeche. They don't have an actual community, but the developers drive to Mérida to go to the meetups. There is one company that I was told about that uses Django. And there's the person I spoke to with there. He teaches at a university, and the program originally was, I think he said it had Java, but he switched it to Django when he started running the program. The class is called Desarrollo Web Empresarial, or I don't know how to translate, sorry. But yeah, it's something marketed towards companies. Like web development for companies. So the next section we're going to look at is the center of the country. You see there's Mexico City, Puebla, Querétaro, and Guadalajara. I spoke to someone from Puebla, and he said there is a community of developers, but there aren't developers specialized in Python. There are a handful, and they all know each other, but they don't really work on it. It's more common that there people have .NET or Java as the programming language they look for, because it's an industrial zone and that's sort of the standard. Some startups are looking for Django in their as their technology, but it's not common yet. And the place where he works is also a startup. Well, he said it's a bit more than that, and that they also look for autodidact people that are good at teaching themselves to start working with them. Guadalajara is actually a big city, one of the main cities in Mexico, but I couldn't talk to anyone from there for some reason. Like developers, I'll reference me to other developers, mostly in Mérida and in the area where I live, but I don't know why I didn't get anyone from Guadalajara. But everyone else said that in Guadalajara and in Mexico City, Django was big and it's used a lot. But so far, I could only find out that there's an HP there, and they use Python. In Mexico City, there's a meetup group, and they seem to be pretty active, but I also could not speak to anyone there, and I don't know how many companies there use Django. But like I said, everyone from all other cities say that Django is very big in Mexico City. So I'll trust them. The next area is north of the country. I took the screen cap so you could see where DjangoCon is going to be. and there's Monterey. It's one of the, besides Tijuana, it's the other big city close to the border. And it's big on industrial, it's very industrialized, and it's been growing very fast, and it attracts many people. There's a Python group there too. It's PyMTY, which is short for Monterey, and they're very active. I was told that Django is very common also in startups, but sometimes people are looking for something else, so it's not also very. It depends on the developer, right? In the end, it's the developer's jurisdiction. But I was told that it's used in hackathons a lot. So people get introduced to Django like that, but then the community does, I don't know. The next area is where I live, Tijuana, Mexicali, which is the capital of Baja California actually, but it's smaller, and Ensenada. For Mexicali, there's this guy who is now living in Tijuana who made this blog called Python BC, and he tried to start a meetup group, but there aren't many Python developers in Mexicali, so it just didn't continue. There's this group which is called Mexicali Open Source, and they do have monthly meetups, and sometimes they reference Python in their talks, but it happens every now and then. There's one company for sure that uses Django, and it's a professional services company. So they are asked to build web apps, and they do, and they use Django for it. And I was told that there's one developer working there. So yeah, one developer that works in Django in Mexicali. Usually people that they love programming and they love Django and they use it in their spare time. It's not something they work in. Ensenada, there's a very, very big company which is called Softec. It's an outsourcing company, and it works in different areas. There are some areas that work more in design. There's this big area that works for EA, which is, and it does testing for them, and they use Python. And I think there are some other sections where they use Django too. Ensenada is like very much like Lawrence, a city of students. So there are many technology initiatives there, and it's been growing a lot. There's this initiative that actually was born in Monterey, which is called Epic Queen, which is to introduce women to technology, and they have many programs, workshops, and courses. And they made a chapter recently in Ensenada, close to Django Girls Ensenada, and they actually announced Django Girls during the event, and they have been keep going with it, and they're having meetings every now and then. For Django Girls, I found this girl who was very active helping me with the organizing of Django Girls Ensenada, and her name is Stephanie, and she helped a lot in kickstarting the technology community in Ensenada. She got together with other girls from there, and they started a group of girls who code in Ensenada, and yeah, I was Django and Python are taught in a graduate school, which is Scientific Investigation Center of Higher Education, something like that. CICESE. Many people go there to have master's degrees and doctorates, and it's one of the most important investigation centers in Mexico, and they teach Django there. So Tijuana, I put Python BC again because the guy moved to Tijuana, and he actually started like 2 months ago, Tijuana Python users group. So we have now that in Tijuana, and it's also monthly meetings, and it was mostly influenced by our neighbors in San Diego. Having Django Girls actually was what made me start knowing developers in Tijuana, because I didn't know there were any besides where I worked. There are around 10 companies that use Django, and mostly are services to other businesses and outsourcing companies. There are big companies that they're actually factories, but they have the development section, and they use Python as testing. They use Python for testing. Samsung and Plantronics are one big ones. It's a big aim for people to want to go and head into those companies. There's actually a course in a university also in Tijuana, Tecnológico de Tijuana, which teaches, it has, I think for a whole year, they get taught Django. And when they get out of school, sometimes they aim to go at those kinds of companies. There's some difficulties that I noticed are hindering the growth of the community in Mexico, because the people I've talked to, they're all very excited, they're very passionate about Python and Django, and they love it. But you can't work in it because there aren't many companies that use it. Mexico is big, so the little niches of developers are tiny and very far apart, as you saw in the map. There's actually, I think, 4,000 kilometers from corner to corner. And the standard, it's not open source, it's Java.net, it's giving a lot of focus to those technologies in school, in college. So it's also, if you are in a company and they're already working in a certain technology, and you're saying, no, but this is better, this is fast, this is more maintainable, this is growing, this is more used lately, companies rarely are willing to make that change. They already have a system and they don't want to change it. And that's that's why I know it's rare to have companies that use it. Whenever choosing for startups or something, choosing a framework to work with, right now it's most common that people use JavaScript frameworks because it's in, right? But although Django is more solid all around, I guess the name it doesn't sound so much in the ambient that entrepreneurship is in. And there have been, besides all these difficulties, there have been talks here and there all around the little communities about organizing PyCon Mexico, but we fall into the same. They think it's a thought that many Python programmers share, that because we're so far apart, it would be harder to organize. But as we can see with other niches of developers everywhere else in the world, it's not really an obstacle. I don't think it is. So hopefully that would happen soon. We have been progressing a bit with the community. I think recently mailing list was opened in Python.org, and there's this Twitter account that tries to spread the word of all the activities related to Python and Django going around in Mexico. And that's it. I don't know. Do you have any questions?